Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Yeah, those two pieces of paper that were in there. You got them there? Okay. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva. Stacy, like this. Srivasadi Dring-ling-ling-ling Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. It's a chance. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Karabind, Kartals. Rama Rama. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Sai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur Hari Bol. Sai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur Hari Bol. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Go Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Harinam Mantra ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu ki. Go Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Chandra, harmonium, Mukaravind and Stacy, kartals. Let's hear for the Hare Krishna chanters. Come on. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Haribo. How is everyone tonight? Fantastic? Okay, good. How are you? Welcome. So, there are various states of consciousness, and they're described as sleeping, and there's sleep without dreams, and then there's waking consciousness, and then there's transcendental consciousness. In material consciousness, we're always sleeping because we're awake, we're asleep to our actual interest in life. And the process of spiritual life is one of waking up, awakening to our eternal self. And there are various things that can wake up the soul, but the most efficient and the recommended process is Shabda Brahma, which means sound vibration that's spiritual. If a man is sleeping and his house is on fire, then sound vibration can wake him up. Just recently, 2 devotees in Toronto had their house burn, and the woman of the house, Arusha, said that she heard crackling of glass, cracking, glass breaking. That's what woke her up, just in time, and to get out of the house before it burned down. And Prabhupada used to give the example that if danger is coming when a person's sleeping, then it's the sense of sound that will wake you up. Someone saying, get up, get up, get up, get up. And then you can wake up. And the sound vibration that comes from the spiritual world has the potency to wake us up to our original consciousness. Prabhude jnana bhaktivyam mayananda chinmayi udeti nantama bhaktir bhagavat prema lakshana. So there's an awakening. Prabhude jnana bhaktivyam. By getting this knowledge through hearing, shotriyam brahmanishtam, through the hearing through the disciplic succession, that is the pure sound vibration is passed on through generations. And hearing that, the prabhude jnana bhaktivyam, through one's knowledge awakens, and that means one begins to perceive, I'm not this body, and then bhakti naturally awakens within the heart as well by hearing the vibration that comes from Goloka Vrindavan, from Vaikuntha. So there's 2 kinds of vibrations in this world. One is material and the other spiritual. To do anything, we need to hear the sound vibration. If you want to make a building, you have to hear about it. he may sit in school for about 12 years to figure out how to do it. But what you do is you go and sit and listening. You want to build a software program. First you have to go and listen and figure out the ABCs, and then you can do C++, and then whatever other kind of stuff you guys got going on out there. There's a hearing process, and there's two different results. One result is from hearing material sound vibration, we become more entranced by the material world and entangled, and the other is the spiritual sound vibration, which awakens us to our original consciousness. So this is the great secret to life, is to become attached to the right kind of vibration. And just by doing that, by giving reception, submissive oral reception, S-A-R, SAR, then submissive oral reception, we can learn anything. And we can also become spiritually perfect by this submissive oral reception. So when we say submissive, it means that we don't try to interpret the sound vibration. No need to interpret it. We find the perfect source, we have faith in the perfect source, and we hear from the perfect source. Submissively means we accept what comes down through that vibration. We can clear doubts, of course, as Arjuna did in the Bhagavad Gita, but this rules out absurd inquiries, and one must inquire submissively. That is, in order to ascertain the actual truth of life and to become more sincere in approaching the Supreme Absolute Truth. And there's no bar for anyone from any country, from any culture, from any gender. Everyone has an opportunity, even any species, actually, because there are accounts of Gajendra, the elephant, who was able to, even from his previous life, because of having given oral reception to the spiritual sound vibration, it carried over to his next life. That's how powerful it is. You never lose it. When you invest in hearing, submissive hearing, you don't lose that. Then there were the animals in the forest at Jarikanda. Just this weekend I was in Honolulu, and we were at Rath Yatra actually on Monday, MLK Day. And it's a very blissful Rath Yatra. It goes along Waikiki, Kalakaua Avenue, which is really a funny place. It's Hawaii is interesting because actually I find people suffer there more than anywhere else in the world. I've been there many times, and I always have this feeling when I go there that this is the worst kind of suffering on earth. Because normally, I mean, if you live in Nebraska and it's freezing, you figure, I should suffer. This is Nebraska. It's the wintertime. But when you go to Hawaii, you figure, I should be happy here because it's Hawaii, and everyone says this is about as good as it gets here on this planet, which is pretty true. And however, when they get there, people are still assaulted by their mind and by their body, by other people. And the same kinds of calamities happen there that happen everywhere else, and anxieties that come up, deep-seated anxieties, despite the weather and the picturesque surroundings and so on. And therefore, it's kind of a last stop. And once you get there and figure you can't enjoy and you don't know what else to do, there's a kind of sadness that pervades the atmosphere. One night we had a Harinam Sankirtan, and it felt so good to take 50 devotees down Waikiki Avenue. 2 devotees got married. I performed the wedding ceremony. And then as we were driving down for Harinam just after the wedding, Nirkula was saying, materialistic people, after they have a wedding, they'd be going out to clubs, and we're going out to chant on the street with the newlyweds. And then on Monday we had a Rath Yatra parade. It's the Martin Luther King Day, so there's a big parade, and we have an entry in that, which is Rath Yatra cart with Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and Prabhupada sitting on the cart. And by far, it's the best the best of all the entries. Everyone else is not dressed that nicely, T-shirts and this, and most of the causes were all protesting against something. Sort of they're victims, they're angry, something, we want justice or whatever, equal rights to this and that. But the devotees were just blissful and dancing. And luckily we brought up the rear. We were the second to the last. And when we got, every year, I've been there a few times for that Ratha Yatra, so when we get down near the end, we go right next to the zoo. And they always tell us to be quiet because the animals, with the loud kirtan, they think it disturbs them. But actually, we knew the real reason why we have to be a little quiet when we go by the zoo. It's because the animals want to get out and start dancing. Just at Jarikanda, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went through Jarikanda, he was dancing, and the animals started dancing. The elephants and the deer, they all got into ecstasy because they're souls, they're spiritual, and they can appreciate the blissful sound vibration, and they all went into ecstasy, and they followed Mahaprabhu everywhere. So I think those zookeepers were a little afraid that those tigers and everything would jump out of there and just start dancing down the road, and that would really be a scene. So if we feel that the vibration actually isn't penetrating, that we're not moving ahead, or we're not fully comprehending what the vibration is, don't worry. Just keep taking the medicine, because eventually it has a systemic effect on the whole body and mind and consciousness, and the vibration does its work. I'm not in a position to cure myself, but I am in a position to accept treatment. This is what I can do. This is what submissive oral reception means, SAR. SARS was actually a dangerous disease, but we have SAR, which actually cures all diseases. So submissive oral reception means that I have to be, even though I don't understand exactly how it's working on me, I have to have this much faith that it will work. And if you can have that much faith, then you can make rapid advancement in devotional service. And this is why it's important, along with the process of submissive oral reception, to continually take in what's called sambandha gyan, or knowledge about our relationship with Krishna and with this world. For instance, this world is a kind of a reflection. It is a reflection of the spiritual world. Shrishti stiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chayeva yasya bhuvanani viparti durga ichchandu rupam api yasya tatesa govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Chaya means a shadow. So this material world is a shadow of the spiritual world. So it's a reflection. And if I speak into a tape recorder and then play the tape recorder somewhere else, someone in the other room, especially with the tape recorders these days, will say, "Oh, he's in that room." I'm not really. It's just the recording. So that's called separated energy. So this material world is like that. It's a kind of a recording, a carbon copy, a reflection of the spiritual world. But it's binna, it's separated. And when we connect ourselves through submissive oral reception to the Hare Krishna mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then we're able to directly connect to the internal potency that's actually connected to Krishna. Krishna is never alone. He's the energetic, and he's always with his energy. We say Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, because he's never alone. It's always with his energies. What would be the meaning of the sun without sunshine? And we're a part of those energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. Krishna's energies are multifarious. And what are we? We are a tiny part and parcel of Krishna. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manak Shastra Nindriyani Prakriti Stani Karshati. We're tiny eternal parts of Krishna, just like a part of a sun ray from the sun, is a part of the sun. And when I'm separated from Krishna by illusion, I become, I'm put in a desperate situation. I struggle with the material energy. Karshati means I struggle very hard. I grapple with material energy because I feel myself separated from Krishna. Because I'm by ignorance, which is like a cloud, my access to the original light is blocked. So I'm experiencing darkness, the darkness of ignorance. This is Sambandha Gyan, hearing Sanitya Nitya Sambandha Prakritischa Paraivasa, that I'm Prakriti Para, I'm actually not part of this world. It's a big relief, actually, to find out I'm not part of this world, because this is the world of death. As soon as one's born, then the process of dying begins. And there's constant anxiety around that. But when I discover that I'm actually Brahman, I'm not Para-Brahman, but I am Brahman, which means I'm eternally a conscious living entity, and I have prospect. Actually, the living entity is the wealthiest of the wealthy. But when I come into the material world, I turn myself into a pauper. I become the most poor person because I cut myself off from the original source of my wealth. So Sambandha Gyan means to rediscover, remember. I've become separated, so the parts get connected again. The part gets connected to the whole. This is remember. I'm connecting again through Sambandha Gyan, through submissive oral reception. And simply by the process of connection, of remembering, reconnecting to Krishna, then I become satisfied and happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. A person who remembers his relationship with Krishna and begins to act in that relationship is transported to the spiritual platform. That's proved by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitai tan brahmapuya yakalpate. One who constantly engages in his constitutional position as a servant of Krishna rises above the three modes of material nature and comes to this level of Brahma. That's how we get there. And then Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. The first symptom is joyfulness, happiness. We want to be happy. We are happy, but that happiness has become obscured and covered over by the dark cloud of illusion. So Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. When I attain that spiritual remembrance, I become happy. Prasannatma. My mind, I feel joy, complete joy. Is that how you're all feeling? Yeah. So Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. And there's no hankering or lamentation in that situation, because I have no more vested interest in the world. There's nothing more here for me, because I realize I'm not really connected to this world. It's not mine. It's my false idea that something's mine in this world that actually causes me the suffering. This is mine, that's mine. And in the process of connecting my sense of identity to all these material objects, I take a great burden on my head, a great deal of suffering and anxiety, because I can't control all these things. They're not actually mine to keep. I come into the world with nothing, and I leave it with nothing, absolutely nothing. And while I'm here, I make so many plans, and I make so many claims. This is mine, that's mine. This is my body, my family, my money, my nation, my football team, and so on. But all these things are will-o'-the-wisp. They're like a horse egg. Horses don't lay eggs. So when I realize that I don't have a vested interest in this world anymore, and internally I actually give it up, doesn't mean I stop acting. It just means I give up my vested interest in it. I go on with my work, I go on with my duty, just as Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, perform your duty, do your duty, but don't have any attachment to it. Be like a lotus flower that grows in the mud and the water, but it never touches. It's unaffected. The water rolls right off it. And when we are in the Brahmabhuta position, whatever situations we find ourselves in, we don't identify with them, although we dutifully go through them. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tatvavit pashyan sprishan jigran. I'll start over. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tatvavit pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan swasan. Pralapan vishvanan grinnan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyarteshu vartanta iti tarayan. I just like to say that verse. But Krishna says, Naiva kinchit, a person who's in the Brahmabhuta position, in the spiritual state of consciousness, Naiva kinchit. Kinchit means something, and he's not eva kinchit. He doesn't have anything to do with the machine of the body. He sees it working just like when you turn on your washing machine. It goes through the various cycles. So a person notices that the body's working. It's grasping things, it's tasting, it's seeing, it's eliminating, so many things. But the person thinks, I'm not doing that. That's not me. I'm not connected to that machine. I'm just temporarily residing in it. But it's not me. He doesn't have an identification with it. And therefore, nashochati nakangshati, he doesn't hanker or lament for anything, because hankering and lamenting take place on the basis of the body and the mind. I want, I need. Now I've lost something. What have you lost? You never had anything in the first place. Everything's already lost. Just consider it like that. You can't keep it anyway. It's lost. And so the person who has no more connection to these things internally doesn't consider that they're mine. Nashochati nakangshati. How can he lament? How can he hanker for more things? And not only that, he or she sees that Krishna is naturally supplying everything. Even for those who are not in spiritual consciousness, they're being maintained naturally. This is another idea that is born of illusion, that I'm maintaining myself. But actually it's not true. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha hankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the material nature is automatically maintaining everything, and a foolish person thinks that I'm doing it. I'm the one making everything happen. I'm the maintenance person here. And a devotee realizes that things are being supplied naturally by the Supreme, and he or she also realizes that Krishna is personally carrying what he or she lacks and carrying what he or she lacks or preserves, yeah. Preserves what we have. Yeah. And so there's no hankering, no lamentation in that situation. Nashochati nakangshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu. And there's no friends and enemies. A person on the Brahmabhuta platform doesn't think this person is my friend, this person is my enemy, because again, he has no vested interest in the material world. Friends and enemies are based on thinking that something is, I have something to gain from this person, I have something to lose from this other person. But if you have nothing to gain or lose, then you don't have friends and enemies anymore. No one can hurt you, and no one can take anything away. It's all being arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the person who's truly learned, Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastani Shuni Chaiva Shupakecha Pandita Samadarshina. The learned person sees with equal vision a Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, or even the person who has become degraded by the modes and is eating the dog. He sees all those people on an equal level. It doesn't mean that he interacts with them completely equally. In fact, one of the great science of spiritual life is the science of how we interact with other people. There is an appropriate way to act towards everyone. Although everyone's equally spiritually, externally we have different kinds of bodies, and there's an appropriate way to deal with every type of person. And as Narada Muni told Dhruva Maharaj when he headed off to the forest, having become angry at his father and wanting to attain a kingdom greater than his. Actually, he was mostly angry at his stepmother. But he had this determination to go to the forest and attain a great kingdom. I'll show them. And Narada Muni told him to go back and said, go back and just act appropriately towards everyone and your life will be okay. Of course, he couldn't take that instruction. He told Narada Muni, thank you very much for your good instruction, but I'm going to go to the forest anyway. I can't accept what you're saying because I'm a Kshatriya. That's for Brahmins, what you're telling me. However, throughout our Vaishnava literatures, there are instructions of how to appropriately deal with different types of people. And this is part of the practice of spiritual life, is learning how to work in this world in appropriate ways, associating with people properly. But the devotee sees everyone as a spirit soul. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaivad buddvijanataha tatrako mahakashoka ekatvam manupashyataha. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatuna vijagupsate. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? One who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and sees the Supreme Lord within everything never hates anything or any being. And this is the vision of Brahmabhuta, seeing how everything is working uniformly and all living entities are actually part and parcel of Krishna. They're all spiritual. And also, a spiritually advanced person won't harm even an ant. Sees an ant and he thinks there's a spirit soul. And he's got his duty to do. He's coming up in that particular body, and I shouldn't be envious of him, and say, "Get out of here, ant," or try to kill him and so forth. So devotees are very careful how they work in this world and interact with others, and they keep this vision of equality for all living entities. This is the Brahmabhuta platform. And in that spiritual condition, one enters fully into the process of devotional service. This is the threshold of entering into pure devotional service. From the Brahmabhuta platform, from the liberated position, one can then perform pure devotional service. Mad bhaktim labate param. So far, let's hear any responses to what we've talked about so far. Also, let's turn on these other two lights. I don't have books out there tonight, but it's nicer with a little light anyway. Let's just have a few comments, just to stay warmed up. Hansapriya's got one to start with. Give her another microphone, and then Ramananda Saka Prabhu will come running in and fix this one. It's on. Okay.
I really like the word you mentioned, remembrance, bringing it together. And it just dawned me that when I remember Krishna, then you're not affected by anything else. As soon as the consciousness out of the connecting with Krishna, it totally just you again down or feeling morose. So how the remembering or just connecting with the consciousness brings you to the peaceful state.
Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakar. Krishna is like the sun, like light, and Maya is like darkness. And wherever there's light, there's no darkness. Just by remembering Krishna, then naturally all the things that we were afraid of in the nighttime, that we think that the garden hose was a snake and everything seems scary, but when the light comes up, then everything's okay. So similarly, when we remember Krishna, all the fear of material existence becomes diminished immediately. What else?
I want to ask one question. When we are talking about the maintenance, so how to understand it better way, like I am not the maintainer. Like if I'm going to office, working, getting paycheck, if I'm not working, how the family gonna be maintained? How to understand that?
Well, there's a story of Sridhar Swami, the great Bhagavatam commentator, who was thinking about whether he should take sannyas or not. He was agonizing over it. And I'm not telling you to take sannyas, but I'm going to tell you the story anyway. That he was agonizing over the fact that, how will my family go on and so forth. And he was sitting, and from his vantage point, a lizard gave birth to a little baby, and then the mother lizard died. And then he was thinking, what's going to happen to this little baby? And he was just sort of absorbed in watching this whole scene. And then an ant walked in front of the little baby lizard, and he stuck out his tongue, and he ate that ant. And Sridhar Swami got up and walked out. Because he had this realization that Krishna is taking care of every living entity. Jesus Christ was showing his disciples that you'll see how the birds in the field, they're being maintained. The grain is naturally there on the end of the stalk. And I watch this all the time in my backyard. I have a little bird feeder, and I sometimes put bird food in there. And they eat it all. But they don't starve after it's empty. After that's emptied out, I look around, and they're just as engaged in eating as they ever were. There are plenty of things out there. So there's a way in which there's a natural supply by Krishna's arrangement in nature. It was funny. I was thinking yesterday, I was walking along in my neighborhood, and I saw, it was a Kaddashi, so I wasn't eating, and I saw a bush with oranges on it, and I was thinking, well, free fruit, it's just hanging right there, but I'm not going to eat it. And there's a way that the world is supplying naturally all kinds of things. I mean, if you have 1 acre of land and a cow, it requires some maintenance, but you'll get so much abundance of food that you really don't need much after that. And so how to realize that? We should look and see. And we should also practice. There's a general progression. It's not that all at once, we can see this, but we should depend more and more on Krishna. And two of the processes in the 6 of Sharanagati, or surrender, are taking Krishna as my sole protector and as my sole maintainer. And from any situation in life, we should practice seeing how Krishna is actually supplying. And part of that comes from giving away the fruit of our work to Krishna, as we practice sacrificing something for Krishna, rather than keeping the fruit. This is what Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita, that you work, but then give up the fruit. You don't have to give up all the fruit, but you have to give up some of it. And most of the fruit that you give up, Krishna gives you back anyway. And really, if you observe people who completely surrender, they're not lacking for anything. I mean, devotees who completely surrender to Krishna live higher than anybody in the world. That's a fact. The more you surrender to Krishna, the more you live like a king. Because you're serving the king. Who lives better, the king or the king's servant? I would argue the king's servant. Because the king has to worry about everything. And the servant lives in the servant's quarter in the palace, and he serves the king. He eats all the same food the king eats. But he doesn't have to worry about it. And similarly, we don't have to worry about maintaining the universe. We just have to just worry about serving Krishna, and he maintains us. So there's a gradual realization, just a sec. There's a gradual process of realizing that we are maintained by Krishna by giving away what we have in service to Krishna. And we'll see gradually that, as we do that, hey, I'm okay. I'm all right. Because there's a survival mode. I'm my body, I must survive. And all my family members must survive, and so on so forth. We won't survive, but we're thinking that if I just eat right and I have the right dental plan and everything like that, I'll survive. But we won't. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't do some kind of maintenance. Even a sannyasi with a begging bowl has a begging bowl, and he has to go out and beg. A householder just has a bigger bowl to fill up. And therefore, the Shastra says that you should eat to live and don't live to eat. See what you need, and not just what your mind and senses demand. And if you live simply like that and sacrifice the fruits of your results to Krishna, then gradually you have more and more realization that Krishna is maintaining me. Yadricha labasantushto. Krishna recommends that you learn to be satisfied with things that come of their own accord. I was sitting at the Rath Yatra, and the prasadam was a little late coming out. And I'm not going to stand in line or wait, whatever. I'm just going to read the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So I just started reading, and then a group of devotees sat around. And then eventually somebody brought me a plate. But then I was watching, and I saw that, Akurnath was sitting there, and Jagarini was on the other side, and they didn't have prasadam. And then it was just like somebody right nearby had an extra plate, so we just passed it back. And I was just thinking how things always go like that if you just stay absorbed in Krishna consciousness, that naturally, what you need comes to you. And most of the things that we think that we need, we don't actually need. The mind creates artificial needs. And then Krishna says you become a kami. It means that you chase after things that you don't really need. And there's no end to that. That's why sometimes even materialists, they realize this principle, so they try to minimize certain types of needs. Like, remember Steve Jobs always wore the same clothes every day. Did you know that? I mean, he had a few sets, so he washed them. But I'm just saying that he always wore jeans and a black turtleneck. And there are other people. Because why? Why did he do that? Because he didn't want to think about it. He didn't want to think about the latest style, because there's no end to it. You start thinking like, some people have, 3,000 pairs of shoes. You don't need, Imelda Marcos had 3,000 pairs of shoes. You don't need that many shoes. And there's so many things that I think I need. And this is the subject matter in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, that Shukadeva Goswami is saying, look around, nature is supplying so many things to us, naturally. And it's actually, if you practice this yourself in your own life, you'll feel satisfaction. This is where satisfaction comes from. It comes from resisting the urges that come to us that say, you have to have this. You should question that. Don't believe everything you think. When the mind says, I have to have that new black sweater, otherwise, I'm going to look like a square. Stand back and say, who said that? I'm perfectly fine with a gray sweater, and you don't need to run out and go through the whole process of finding something new. Just be satisfied with things that come of their own accord. Practice that in your own life, and you'll see gradually that things go on naturally, and they come to you of their own accord.
All right, I was just saying how Apple even has their offices contoured in the same color.
You need the microphone.
It's not a big comment or question. But I was just saying how you were
We'll
saying...
be the judge of that.
I had 2 points.
Okay, go ahead.
The first... I made it bigger. The first one is, you were saying that God provides everyone with what they need to survive. Even the animals, the ants, the bacteria, everybody. But it seems like the world is getting more and more man-made, and people are starving out there. People starve to death. And they, I'm sure, had their survival instinct kicked in. I mean, everybody has their own karma also. That's another point.
So make the question.
I'm trying to make sense of the big picture. Like, do we
just make a quick question? The big picture will come into focus over time.
Yeah, so I was saying you have to go out and try your best, and there are some people who starve to death. You have to keep that in mind, that you have to stay in a place where you're adept at surviving, and that was my point of view. And the second point was that Steve Jobs wore the same clothes every day to work because he didn't have to think. He even made the offices the same color pattern all over his campuses, gray and white.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and if you minimize your needs, then you'll feel more satisfied. Because the reason I feel dissatisfied is because I have so many extra needs. And living in a more simple state of mind. Now, somebody like a king has a duty to maintain many things. And there's a way in which you can have a lot of things, but if you don't consider them yours and you simply use them in Krishna's service, then you won't feel anxiety over them. And so our duty is to, according to our particular station in life, utilize what we need to properly maintain our body for survival and the bodies of our family members so that we can survive and go on in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, when you create artificial needs, then you get imbalance in your life. And as you mentioned, there are ways in which the world's become overstimulated. And because of profit motive, although some people have plenty, they hoard it all. And if people weren't artificially hoarding and creating kinds of things that pollute the environment and for instance, there are crops that you can grow that will feed lots of people. Prabhupada used to point out that he would be in certain very fertile areas and they were growing just sugarcane. Why? Because they were making alcohol out of it. And in other places they grow coffee. You don't have to have coffee. I mean, big news for the world these days. But you don't have to have coffee. It's not necessary. You're better off without it. Actually, coffee, it's just a stimulant, and everyone thinks they need it, to wake up. But if you get regulated and wake up in the morning and take a cold shower, you feel great. You feel fantastic, in fact, and you don't need any coffee. And that's why there are things are out of balance in ways, because people don't live in harmony with the laws of nature. If they did, then there's a lot less strife. However, the material world is a nasty place. I mean, there's a way in which, it's Martyaloka. It's a place of death. And there is suffering in the material world. There is birth, death, old age, and disease. And you're not going to do away with that. So that's another thing you have to tolerate as well. So, how to be a happy human. Yes, Malini.
Prabhuji, also I like the part that you said about submissive oral reception, and that I may not be in a position to cure my disease, but I'm in a position to accept the treatment. And I recently myself and Srivas, we were discussing that even for spiritual knowledge, you should be in a position to accept a teacher with a submissive mode, not like with a mode that you have to challenge or you know more than the other person. Maybe the teacher may not be in a position to give you the full knowledge, but as a student, if you accept the teacher as a person whom you can learn from, then Srivas was saying that Krishna will actually reveal the knowledge through the teacher. May not be qualified, but if you have the right attitude, then...
Even you'll draw it out, right? Yeah. Very nice point. Yes. Last point, and then we're going to the PowerPoint.
All right. I have a need.
Yes.
I have a need to connect to people. And the people that I choose to connect to bring me to my spirituality. You know, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to come tonight, but I was looking forward to hearing whatever was going to be said, because I said to myself, whatever it is, it's going to be something that I need to hear. And I was happy that it was you.
Well, that comes in the category of submissive oral reception, right? It's like you're not sure what you're going to hear, but you're open to hearing it. And even sometimes a sadhu means a holy person, but it also means, the definition of sadhu is one who cuts for a good reason. Just like there are hoodlums in the street who will cut you with a knife to take your life, and there are surgeons who study their whole life to know exactly how and where to cut so they can cure some kind of acute illness that you have by doing surgery. And so a sadhu is someone who has worked on his or her own life and therefore can offer penetrating words that penetrate like a knife almost. And submissive oral reception means that, okay, I know I'm going to hear something that may not agree to my mind right now, because maybe I have attachments and I don't want to hear about giving them up. But I go anyway. That's submissive oral reception. Just like you go to the doctor. Not many people like to go to the doctor, but you know that if you don't go, that the disease will get worse. Glad you're here. How to be a happy human. It's like a manual. You got to have a manual when you're a human, right? It's the human manual. So Sukhinara is a happy human. This is the word Sukhi means happy, and Naraha means human. That word comes in the Bhagavad Gita, Sukhinara. So there's such thing as a happy human. So we just have to find out. We have to have a plan how to become a happy human. So, do you all have a happiness plan? If you want to be fit, you got to have a fitness plan. If you want to be wealthy, you got to have a. If you want to be smart, you got to have a smartness plan. If you want to be happy, you got to have a. And if you can't, you got to have a can plan. That's Jim Rohn. Okay, so a happiness plan. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, people make plans for so many things in life, but they don't often stop and say, is this really going to make me happy? There's a science to happiness, just like there's a science to everything else. There's a recipe for making great cakes and pies, as Willie Jolly, my old friend, used to say. Just as there's a recipe for making great cakes and pies, there's a recipe for happiness. And if I know what the recipe is and I apply it in my life, then I can be happy. Otherwise, if I go in blindly without real knowledge of the science of happiness or what makes people happy, I may be duped. There was a survey about the happiest place on earth. Did you all hear about that? Newsweek magazine. It was about 10 years ago. Happiest place on earth, and America was way down on the list. It was like number 40. Number 48 on the list, and then the UK was way down there. But the rich countries in the world were not doing well on that survey. It was an index where they interviewed lots of people, social index, to find out how actually happy they were. Bangladesh, fourth world country, according to economists, because third world country means maybe you can emerge at some point, but fourth world country means you're never getting up. Because of natural disasters that happen there and so many other factors. My economy teacher used to call the Bangladesh a fourth world country. So why are they so happy? Well, that's a good thing to find out. What actually makes people happy? Sociologists in America have what they call a picnic index. Picnic index means how many picnics do you get to go on every year? Because people who take time to go out and have picnics with their family generally have kind of there's a level of happiness in that. People who work hard all the time, even if they're making money, and don't have time for their families, don't have good relationships with their kids, and so on, full of stress, can be miserable. It's not what you have that makes you happy. And so the picnic index, by the way, has been, in America, has been reducing. People have less and less time for leisure with their family members and so on. Fewer picnics to go on. So it's a good question to ask. What actually makes us happy and what's the happiness plan? Here's an idea. I took this picture at the airport. You can see the bottom half of my torso there, standing there, in front of the Ghirardelli chocolate sign. There's a whole store at the San Francisco airport that sells Ghirardelli chocolate. And the caption underneath it I thought was interesting. That's why I took the picture. It says, "Moments of timeless pleasure." Moments of timeless pleasure. That sounds attractive, doesn't it? So let's make a plan. We say, we'll have one Ghirardelli chocolate every day. That should make me happy, right? What do you think will be the result? You get really fat and probably get diabetes also from that process of eating a chocolate a day at Ghirardelli's chocolate. And moments of timeless pleasure? Moments of timeless pleasure. Moments of timeless pleasure.
We can have hours.
Hours of timeless pleasure? Who said that? Okay, how about this? Coca-Cola. What are they trying to say here? That if you open the bottle of Coca-Cola, you'll be happy. I mean, it's pretty blatant, isn't it? Doesn't get any more blatant than that. Open happiness. So the bottle, inside the bottle, what do we have? Sugar water. Got a little caffeine. Some of it's, decaffeinated, but then some of it's sweetened with sugar. Some of it's sweetened with all kinds of other stuff, other kinds of chemicals. Anyway, that's an idea. Open happiness. If I just get Coca-Cola, I'll become happy. The point is, everyone's looking for happiness. Otherwise, why are people advertising moments of timeless pleasure, open happiness, and so on? Because that's the nature of the soul. Anandamayo bhyasat. The Shastra says that the soul just wants happiness. That's what he wants. Nobody's looking for misery. No one wakes up in the morning and prays that the IRS will call today, or that my car will stall and get rear-ended on the freeway, or any of those kinds of things, unless you're Queen Kunti, and you pray for calamities so that you'll remember Krishna more, but because she's achieved a higher type of consciousness. But generally, everyone's looking where they can get happiness. But does it actually bring happiness? Well, look at this. New York City circa 1970 or so. Devotees there are not going to the office, I could say. They're not rushing off to school or anything like that. They live in an ashram where they wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and they're in Mangal Artik by 4:30 a.m. And they look pretty happy. Observe people on the 101 freeway next time you're driving to work, and just look inside and see if anybody looks like that. Or when you get to the office, do people look like that? So obviously there's different standards of happiness, and Rupa Goswami describes how material happiness is not actually happiness. It's a misnomer. It's actually suffering. Because it's like spending on a credit card and thinking you're actually getting rich. because you're buying more and more things, but you have to pay it off with interest later. It comes back to you, and you have to pay the price. And that's a lesson. Actually, it's a lesson. It's Krishna's mercy that we have to learn this lesson over and over again because he wants us to be happy. Krishna is the perfect moral agent. He's trying to teach us exactly what is in our best interest because Krishna is our best friend. So real happiness isn't material happiness. Then there's Brahman happiness, which I was beginning to describe. Brahma bhuta prasanatma nashochati nakangshati. There's a way that we can come above the material conception of life, no longer chase material desires, and actually become situated in a spiritual state of consciousness. But Rupa Goswami says there's happiness that's even higher than that. The happiness derived through reviving one's relationship of devotional service, through devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in these 4 types of relationships. In Dasya Ras, where one has the impetus to serve the Lord and actually renders some service to the Lord. And then there's happiness in a relationship in friendship, where one befriends the Lord. And there's a happiness when one becomes a parent of the Lord and has that mood of parental guidance over the Lord. And then there's the conjugal relationship, or the relationship of lover and the beloved, where all the different relationships confluence, and they're all present there. One can have a relationship with God. Actually, we do have a relationship with God. Sanitya nitya sambandha prakritish paraivasa. We have an eternal kinship with the Lord in one of those relationships, and it's been obscured. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Nitya siddha Krishna prema sadhya kabunoi shravanadi shuddhachite karu udoy. It's there. We just have to remember. We have to reconnect to that relationship, and through purification of heart, we can come to this point. Do you like that picture? That's got to be an award-winning picture. Do you know who that is playing the drum? That's Sunanda. That's our very own Sunanda. Okay, here's what Krishna says. Now, who knows better, me or Krishna? Krishna it is. That's, it may be Jai Sachinandan, but I have to check on that by asking Sunanda. Here's Krishna's direct words about what makes a happy human. This is valuable to know, isn't it? Now we can make our happiness plan. Everyone say, Haribo! Now we can finally be happy, everybody. We can have a happiness plan. Let's see what it says here. We'll just follow the directions. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So what are the elements of the happiness plan that you noticed? Let's hear some feedback. Yes, Pooja. Keep those microphones flowing.
Tolerate the urges of material senses.
Okay, and what does that mean? Practical experience.
If you see something not having this is my experience. If you see something that you like or you want, not just going after it, but taking a moment to think whether you actually need it or not.
Wow, that's good. That's a really good formula for tolerance. Taking a moment to think if you really need it or not. Somebody grab the dictionary and look up the word urge, unless you have it on electronic. Let's see what urge means. Okay, so we're getting to the happiness plan. Malini.
Gee, I have a practical realization about urge.
Oh, good.
And recently I was at work, and then somebody looked at my phone, and they saw the cover, and they saw it was pretty broken up, and they said, why are you carrying this old one? Why don't you just throw and buy a new one? And then immediately when I went back after the meeting, I was looking on, they said, eBay has pretty good stuff. You should go and... So, that created an urge, because not that I needed it, but somebody commented and said, they said, you should throw this now. And I went on to the eBay site to look. because of the urge that I had. And I saw some very not very expensive ones. I saw them on the site, and because of the urge, I wanted to go and buy. And I saw like the ones which are going to close pretty soon, so that I can buy them immediately. And I saw there was only 1 second left for me to place a bid. It was 99 cents, so I bid for $1 and I got it. And then later I found out that it is not a hard case; it's just a silicone. So I was just thinking that the urge that I had made me do things that I really never wanted to do it at all. Like I never wanted to buy a silicone case or even a cover at all in the first place. But
very nice practical experience. It can an urge, in other words, can lead us down a difficult path or a complicated path if we follow it. A simple thing, and it can go into become so complicated. And if I just tolerate the urge, then and what if we applied Pooja's idea, and so somebody makes a suggestion, say, why don't you get a new case, and then the urge comes into one's mind, like, get on eBay, I got to get that. Then what if you think about it and think, okay, I'll get a new case if someone gives it to me. I'll just wait till someone gives it to me, and then the next time someone says, do you need a new case? No, I don't need a case. If somebody gives me one, I'll take it. This is yadricha labasantusha. Be satisfied with gain what comes of its own accord. It's a way of stepping back and thinking about it. What does urge mean?
Urge is to drive forward or onward forcefully. Impel. Number 2, to entreat earnestly and repeatedly.
So there's force involved. We're being forced to do something, that we don't want to do, right? And then to being entreated, and someone's urging you, like, come on, come on, come on. Yeah.
And it says exhort. I don't know what it means. The board was urged to approve the budget. To advocate persistently the doing, consideration, or approval of.
To advocate persistently. So the senses can do that, right? Okay.
Press emphatically. Urge passage of the bill. To stimulate, excite. It urged him to an intensity like madness. To persuade, force, or otherwise move to some course of action. To present a forceful argument, claim, or case. To exert an impelling force, push vigorously. To act or process of urging, an irresistible or impelling force, influence, or instinct.
And where does it come from? Urgulate? Urgere. From Latin, and what does that word mean? To press or force. Okay. Okay, to press or force. So we get the idea. It sounds like we're being badgered or something, doesn't it? So the urges of the material senses. So the senses have their various urges, and they're very demanding, and they push us very hard, and they pull us in, and tolerate means, as Pooja said, we have to step back and question, is that necessary? Do I really need that or not? And Krishna recommends that we regulate the senses, because if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. With the senses, if you give them a little sense gratification, then they'll want more. Isn't that the case? You always have to have a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And too much is not enough. So there's a way that we have to regulate the senses. Raga dvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indrayaishcharan atmavasher vedeyatma prasadam adhigachati. Krishna says that you have to regulate the senses and tolerate these kinds of urges. Okay, so our happiness plan is slightly different than the Coca-Cola idea or the Ghirardelli chocolate. If you tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, you'll be well situated and happy in this world. You'll become a Sukhinara. So this is a verse to meditate on and to integrate into the happiness plan. And it's counterintuitive because there's a way that in Waikiki, on Kalakaua Avenue, I see they've built up so many different shops to cater to people's urges. Urges of the tongue, urges of the belly, urges of the genital. Everything is there, tempting people to come in. And the idea is that if you just take enough or as much as you like, if you could just have as much as you like, then you'd be happy. What do you think? True or false? Definitely false. I mean, everyone actually knows that there are remedies people sell for drinking too much alcohol, because there's a sickness that comes. After someone drinks alcohol, then they have to take some kind of medicine to get rid of headache and all kinds of things. And yet people don't know this, or they haven't learned the process of toleration and see that it leads to actual happiness. So Krishna is giving this valuable information, how to become a Sukhinara. Now, we're moved by our heart. Where our heart goes, the condition of our heart moves us in a certain direction. So the word Shraddha is translated as faith, and Shrad means heart, Da means to place. So what moves us? In the core of your heart, what you believe will make you happy. That's what moves us. What is your actual belief, your core belief that will make you happy? That's where you end up. Now, the reason that you came here tonight is because in the core of your heart you believe that would make you happy by coming here. Otherwise, you'd be somewhere else. That's the proposition of the Vedas. That the soul wants to be happy, and we don't do things that we think will make us unhappy. Now, we may take some austerity to go to school or something like that, and that may delay gratification. But the end result we're looking for is to become more happy, because I can imagine myself with an MBA or a PhD, and I'm thinking, well, I'll make money, I'll have a house and a modicum of success, and I'll be happy. The end result the living entity is looking for is happiness. So in the core of your heart, what you believe will make you happy is what moves you, and that's your faith. So people have faith in different modes of nature. Some people have faith in the mode of ignorance. That's why they drink too much, because that's an activity that's in the mode of darkness, drinking. Or smoking. There's a smoke shop on Burlingame Avenue where they sell Cuban cigars and such. I don't know if they're Cuban. I have no idea. But anyway, they're cigars. And so anyway, there's a bunch of men that sit outside that cigar shop. They have benches out there, and they lean back, and they're all fat and everything, and they smoke these cigars, and I watch them, And when I walk past there, sometimes they're trying to enjoy. In fact, they're enjoying some happiness, just like a pig enjoys happiness by eating all kinds of things and thinking they're happy. Actually, there are two potencies in Maya. One is the throwing potency, and the other is the covering potency. The throwing potency, when I think I want to be the enjoyer, I want to be the center of everything, then Maya throws us into a situation where we are covered. And in that covering situation, I take misery to be happiness. And I'll bring up our friend the pig, because pigs are notorious. They eat everything. They eat things that we would die if we ate them. We would die in 2 hours, but they eat them all day long. And they survive happily. They're happy. They have a happiness plan. And that's to eat out of the sewer. That's as much as I'm going to say about that. That's their happiness plan. Because they're covered. They're covered over. They have this penchant for eating things out of the sewer. So then there are urges which are born of the mode of passion, There are urges that are more born of the mode of goodness, and so on. And in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that a person is made of their faith. And our original faith is for serving Krishna. We're eternal servants of Krishna. And that eternal serving mood, that's our real faith and our real connection to the Supreme. But when it gets covered by Maya, then it gets refracted, and it looks like something else, and it becomes something else. And we express our faith in ways that are covered by the three modes of material nature. So the heart is very important, the state of the heart. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described that your heart is a mirror. The consciousness, the chitta, is a mirror. It reflects yourself, your actual consciousness. But when the mirror of the mind and the consciousness is covered, then we don't see ourselves as we are. We see something else. If the mirror is distorted, we see ourselves as being something we're not. And so this is the basis of the misconception of life. So the process of yoga and the happiness plan is to cleanse the mirror of the heart. Because misperception leads to faulty desires, which lead to suffering. If I have wrong desires, now we can't stop desiring. This is a false notion. It's not that I can quit desiring, because the living entity is a unit of desire. But I can stop having faulty desires. These are called anarthas, useless desires, desires that have no value and don't lead to anything except for suffering. So misperception, by having a dirty mirror, a dirty consciousness, leads to faulty desires, which leads to suffering. Actually, I performed this wedding over the weekend, and someone got up and gave a talk. It was a devotee, and he was talking about the 4 rings. And he said, so the first ring is the engagement ring. And then he said the second ring is the wedding ring. Then the third ring is suffering. But he said there's a 4th ring, which is the ring of life. And he was describing how the devotees, these devotees who are getting married, because they're both stalwart devotees, and they're actually getting married to support each other in their service. And he said that's the ring of life that actually brings us closer to Krishna. So it's what I think I see and want that brings me to misery. So as I said earlier, don't believe everything you think. Because when the mirror is dirty and so many desires come in and urges that say this will make you happy, you have to check and see if it's part of your happiness plan, whether it will actually make you happy. Check and see if it's on your list of things that will really make you happy before you do it. Take Pooja's advice. Step back and think about it for a minute and see if it will actually bring you happy or misery. Now, we have something very important going for us, everyone. Actually, everyone in every living entity everywhere. We just have forgotten. And that is Suhrit. Suhrit means our very, very best friend. And our very, very best friend actually lives in our heart. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he's in the heart of every living entity. And he's supplying remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And the Supersoul, Krishna, is arranging for fulfilling our desires in all different ways. So this is our real treasure in life, Suhrit. The treasures in life that we pursue, that our things are not actually valuable, but our relationship with Suhrit, our best friend, is our greatest value. So Krishna is described by Prahlad Maharaj to be like a desire tree. And here's a real desire tree, and there's actually a blue Nilgai up on the top of the Govardhan Hill. And a desire tree is a tree that will fulfill all your desires, or any desire that you have. If you sit under a desire tree and you make a wish, or you don't even make a wish, the desire is just sitting in your heart, then the tree will fulfill your desire. How do you feel about that? Who said, did somebody say good? Or somebody said scared? A little scary? Good? He's thinking ding, 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 ding. For our audience out there, it's Damana Ramsidari, and he's fundraising for the new temple, and every time someone buys a tile, he rings a bell. Ding, 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 ding. Well, someone might say scary. It's actually an interesting experiment. Imagine yourself sitting underneath a desire tree. Do this tomorrow morning. Sit down and think about, what do you really want in life? After all, Krishna's fulfilling all their desires. So what do you want? That's a good question to ask. What do you really want? And that's the heart of the matter, because whatever you really want, you'll get. In fact, I heard Prabhupada lecturing the other day, and he was saying that for a human being, whatever he or she really wants, it's not that difficult to get if you really want something. And devotional service is the same way. A Krishna bhakti ras bhavito mati kriyatam yadi kritopi labhyate tatalolyam apimulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritirna labhyate. Rupa Goswami says, the price for getting bhakti ras, the real thing, is your intense desire to have it. What if you just so intensely desired to have a relationship with Krishna that you drop whatever else you were doing, or you wouldn't stop thinking about it, or you would just, that was your burning desire. As Satyadev Prabhu was talking about water at different temperatures. When it's cold or tepid, it just sort of sits there. When it starts to boil, it's got little bubbles coming out, tiny little bubbles. But when it's raging, boiling, that's the level of desire we're talking about. Tatalolyam api mulyam ekalam. What if your desire was like that? To taste the holy name, to serve Krishna, to actually go back home, back to Godhead. In that case, Rupa Goswami says, then you'll attain it. Whatever you desire, you'll attain. So imagine that you're always sitting under a desire tree, and whatever you desire, Krishna is fulfilling. And this is why there are so many different varieties in this world, because Krishna is fulfilling the unlimited desires of the living entities who desire various kinds of enjoyment. And Krishna says, okay, if that's what you really want, here, take it. And so the spiritual master comes along, the scriptures come along, and says, your real interest is in the spiritual world. It's not here in the material world. There's nothing you can find here that will actually fulfill your desire. No thing in this world will actually make you happy. In fact, if you took all the things, all the so-called happiness in Waikiki, it's a long area of so-called the highest enjoyment in the material world. I don't know. Somebody might say, save up all their money and go to Waikiki. I mean, what can you do there, actually? But if you took all the enjoyment that you can get on Waikiki and you put it into one syringe, you were able to put it through a juicer and then take out all the, just the essence of it. You put it into a syringe, all the happiness in Waikiki, and then you injected it. What do you think would happen?
You die.
You could experience death. Yeah, and that's kind of what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that you get you get the opposite of what you think you're going to get in material life. Yes, Shraddha.
So, Guru Maharaj, I was thinking that that to have a very intense desire, like a raging, boiling desire to go back to Krishna and leave this material world, won't that happen only in the circumstance that we have very intense misery? or can it also happen in other situations, like person will have a desire to go back?
Well, we do have intense misery, actually. I think I'm happy. Just like a pig thinks he's happy. And there is intense misery all the time in this world. But I think I'm happy. And if I'm not in an intensely miserable situation now, I have been in the past. Because we've been through many lives. And, I mean, death itself is a great suffering. We've died many times in the material world. It means that everything that you held dear was separated from you. Is that not suffering? And so sometimes people ask, what is the use of all this suffering if I don't remember it all? I mean, I feel fine right now. But there are different kinds of remembrance. Remembrance actually is in our cells. It's a cumulative experience. In fact, psychologists will tell us that memory comes in various forms, not just as remembering a particular scene or a verse from a movie or something like that. That's not entire memory. There's emotional memory. There's memory that, for instance, if you had an accident in a certain place, when you hear about that place or you hear the music that was playing at that certain time, it will stimulate that memory that's actually in your subconscious. And there's a way that empiric scientists, for instance, at the University of Virginia, have shown that these memories carry over to the next life, because there are children who have profound memories when they're 2, 3, 6 years old about their previous lives, and it's provable. This is not just some new age science or something like. These are empiric scientists who go back and they follow back the statements of the child, and they find, there was an apartment 213 that he lived in his last life, and so on. And so we're a product of all our experiences in this material world. And therefore Krishna says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavam mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, one who becomes fortunate comes to see Vasudeva, Krishna, as everything, and then he surrenders. And if one is advanced, then he's seeing that I've already suffered, I am suffering, and such a person, of course, doesn't like to become complacent in the material world and is always afraid of being reabsorbed by Maya. And therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays like this in his prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. He says, "I'm not afraid of you, but I'm afraid of your Maya. Vishnu Maya is so heavy. I don't want to become reattracted by Maya." And this is a very specific qualification for an advanced devotee, that he or she is afraid of Maya. And in fact, Prabhupada said it's the duty, like men are attracted to women are attracted to men in this material world, and he said that nobody should think I'm a liberated soul and I'm unaffected by that, and therefore take it lightly. That I'm liberated, therefore I can associate with an attractive woman beyond the rules that are given in Shastra. And vice versa, and so on, because when we do, then Maya is very, very strong and tricky. So we should be afraid of Maya. We should have a healthy fear of Maya. And of course, Queen Kunti prays that may calamities come again and again. She welcomes them, because when life is upset and you're on edge and you don't know if you're going to survive and so forth, there is a way that you dig deeper than you ever dig in your life. And you actually make a real prayer. I was talking to one devotee in Hawaii, and he was telling me about a time when he almost drowned when he was a kid. And he still remembers it. And it's stuck with him this whole lifetime. It was before he became a devotee. He was surfing in Hawaii. He's a Hawaiian. And he was surfing, and he got caught by a big wave, and he realized that he was going to drown, and that he couldn't get up because there's foam on top of the wave, so surfers sometimes can't get above the wave, can't get another breath because of all the foam. And in that very second, he realized, I'm going to leave my body. And he had this very profound experience that how valuable his life was, and it actually turned him towards pursuing Krishna consciousness. So yes, these calamitous situations can help us, but it's not that we haven't had them in the past. And by hearing submissively, we can also remember them. And it becomes a state of heart that I've had it with the material world. There's a way in which we become so fatigued with trying to keep up with the desires in the material world that we finally say, I quit. I'm surrendering to Krishna. That's sweet surrender. Yes, Damodar, then Lavanya.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. One question which I had was whenever we are interacting with devotees and some of them show signs of progression fast. And when they progress, they almost become very difficult to deal with. Like they will show symptoms of, this, that. I was just correlating.
That means?
It's very difficult to interact with devotees who are progressing. Like, say, for example, hold on. Say, for example, I give the example of, say, Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj. It's very difficult to interact, or Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj, very difficult to interact. So, as devotees are progressing, sometimes it's... And similarly, I was trying to see when Gauranga Mahaprabhu used to show symptoms, it was very difficult to contain him, in that bhav state. So, as if we are there in a situation where there are devotees who are progressing, which is good, how to interact with those devotees?
Well, as I was saying earlier, Rupa Goswami gives directions about how to interact with all different kinds of devotees. And this is one of these signs that we are properly situated in devotional service, that we know how to interact with the various kinds of, not just devotees, but all kinds of people. It is a symptom of an advanced devotee who knows how to deal with different kinds of devotees. Just as an example, the Shastra says, Ishvare tadadineshu balisheshu dvisatsucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. A madhyamadhikari devotee is very advanced, and he or she sees God, sees the devotees, sees the innocent, and also sees those who are envious of the Lord, and he treats each one differently, appropriately. And amongst the devotees, in making friendships, he becomes expert at knowing how to deal with the different levels of devotees. And that's mentioned in verse 5 of the Nectar of Instruction, where Rupa Goswami says that one should honor the devotee, anyone who says Hare Krishna. You should honor them in your mind, because you should feel that just to be able to say Hare Krishna, according to Shastra, means that person's very advanced. They've been through many things. In your mind, you can honor them. Somebody who's taken initiation, that means they've made a vow that they're going to dedicate themselves to chanting the rest of their life and following the principles. You should actually get down and offer your obeisances to that person. It'll do you good to get down and pay obeisances. And for someone who's become very advanced in that process, then and whose heart has obviously changed and become free from ninda, or the tendency to take pleasure in others' suffering and become happy when other people fail and so on, and becomes paradukkha dukhi, and there are symptoms of such a person. One should take advantage of that kind of association. Now, the fact that devotees are unpredictable, especially very advanced devotees, is kind of exciting. I mean, if you're around devotees that are actually, like devotees just to be around. Prabhupada was on a mission, and sometimes some of his servants, people who spend a lot of time around Prabhupada, they'll say, you think, everyone wants to be close to Prabhupada, and he said, think again. if you were around Prabhupada, he kept you going. Like he wasn't slowing down. It's like, let's take a week off and, go to a movie or something like that. Prabhupada was full on all the time, 24/7. And his young servants, they felt the intensity of that. I mean, they learned so much from it because it's otherworldly. And, these other great devotees that we hear about who, will suddenly have outbursts, because of their separation from Krishna and so forth. I mean, these are things that we should aspire for. We should pray for, that kind of association, that we could render some service to the servants of the servant of the servants of such devotees. And if we ever have the good fortune of being close to such a person, that has these qualities, just what radiates from their heart, says Rupa Goswami in the Nectar Devotion, can actually improve our own quality of life. And the Shastra says that even a moment's association with such an advanced person can change us. So we should aspire for it. And the Brahma Samhita says that in the spiritual world, all living entities are enjoyable and tasty. That's the translation. What does that mean? It doesn't mean they're a bunch of boring people, predictable. It means there are a lot of characters in the spiritual world. And they're far out, I mean, they're liberated souls, actually. How do you associate with liberated soul? Who knows? I mean, out of service and surrender. But if you can just see one, you're fortunate.
But see, in this lifetime, they are behaving differently. But, what understanding of Golok Vrindavan is, everybody is like a family person, different relationships and all. But it's very difficult as, the symptoms which they show here.
Everyone's a family person?
They're like,
with Krishna's pastimes, he's going, he's sneaking out at night, staying out all night, and then he comes back and, Mother Yashoda wants to know what all the scratches are on his body. And he says, I fell into a bush, But actually it was, he was meeting with his girlfriends and such. I mean, Goloka's a wild scene. That's why it's called Vraja. Vraja means, the place that's always running. I mean, the perverted reflection in the material world. People go to Las Vegas and all these places up all night, and they think they're happy. It's actually a perverted reflection. Vraja actually is up all night. Krishna's up all night, every night, practically, just engaging in all kinds of, pastimes. And there's never a dull moment in the spiritual world. It's not just a, Lavanya.
Hare Krishna. My question relates to the statement you made a little earlier about nothing in the material world can make you happy. So that is a lot easier for us to understand than the concept of no one in the material world can make you happy. Because you can look at something and think that thing cannot make me happy. Buying another a DVD or, buying a bigger house is not going to make me happy. But when I look at my family, when I look at my children or my husband or my parents, I find that concept very difficult to apply. And the second thing I wanted to hear more about that from you is when Queen Kunti asks in her prayers that calamities come again and again so that, I will constantly think of you. I'm still thinking, we need to be in pain to think of him. And even when she asks him, when she's calling out to him, she's calling out to him with a need. Not a need for Krishna, but a need to save me. So like, I need to save my children, need to save... So can you explain that concept?
Yes, actually it's explained in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. There's the Vaikuntha Dutas who meet with Gopakumar in the abode of liberation, explain to him about the power of Sankirtan and chanting the holy names. And they say that the devotees of the Lord who are actually advanced are like the Chataki birds who feel separation from their mates, and at night they're crying, and they make a certain cry. They cry, Priya, 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 Priya. And the Vaikuntha Dutas say this is just like the devotees whose hearts are so vacant, as Lord Chaitanya says, Yugayatam nimishena chakshusha pravisha. He feels the whole world's vacant because of feeling separation from Krishna. So when they chant it's like the chant of this chataki bird crying, Priya, Priya, oh my dear one, oh my dear one. And it's in great pain that they're calling out. This is the highest kind of chanting, the feeling separation from Krishna. And we may find so many replacements in this world that, we think that this will make me happy. But the Shastra tells us otherwise, that our relationships in the material world, which are obviously more intense than our things. In a moment you can drop all your things when there's a fire and run out, but you're going to go save your child or even your dog. People go back and risk their life to save Sparky inside the building when it's burning down or there's a flood or something like that, because there's a living entity there. So obviously we have more attachment. But even those relationships are short-lived in this world. They come and they go. They're like, as the Bhagavatam says, we meet in a hotel, and we meet a bunch of other people, and we sit down and we make friends, and maybe even there for a weekend for a seminar and stuff, and then you get up and go. On the airplanes, I think about this all the time. I sit down to somebody. There's a few people around. They just take up a conversation. Yeah, how are you? I'm fine. How are you doing? How much money did you make? And all this kind of stuff going on. And then next thing is that you get up and walk off the plank, and you're out of there, and you never see him again. And that's kind of the situation in the material world, that we're meeting together and we break apart. And but it's natural, because we're attracted to the living force. Yeah.
So does that count as one of the miseries? The very fact that we will meet and break again and again. And
Most
we will
definitely.
reform these bonds.
Read Shakespeare and you'll see. Tragedy means that, two people meet and then they get split apart. And that's the heartbreak of this material world. All the great tragedies written in classical, all the classical playwrights, they're writing about this subject matter. And even the modern movies, they come together, they split apart, and then the heart becomes vacant, and we suffer.
So how do you, yes, gradually you will learn to climb above that. But even Queen Kunti, to a point, she was still, how do you rise above that web of connection? And like you said, what does your heart want the most? A lot of times all your heart wants the most is the joy of your family. And unfortunately, like you explained, that itself is another illusion that we create.
Yeah, it's natural. It's a natural thing. And it's not that we become cold and indifferent to our family, but we always are increasing our attachment to Krishna through the process. And as we do, we have even more appreciation and attachment to our family members, but in the right perspective. In the proper perspective, seeing actually who they are. And in fact, I experience it in my own life. I've been married to Nirkula for 27 years, and we have a relationship as a husband and wife, but we're also devotees. These things go on simultaneously, and so we're cultivating both things at the same time. But as we're getting older, we're realizing that one way or another we're separated, and so therefore, we're leaning more heavily on the devotee relationship, obviously. And that's the natural progression in the Vedic culture. There's you go through different phases of life, and you match those phases of life to the proper progression that you should be making towards leaving this world with your mind fixed on Krishna. Okay, the only prayer you need, I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there will be no material desires. Prabhupada said that's the only prayer you need. But think about why he would say such a thing, because if you have no material desire within the core of your heart, you're actually a very happy and wealthy person. It's these desires that are unfulfillable that drive us crazy. And of course, this prayer. This is one of my favorite prayers, to pray to the Lord that you know everything that's happened in the past. You know what's coming to me and what's not. So please just remove the obstacles so I can come to you. And also, Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita we should manage expectations. This is a management formula that I got from my management guru, Rupanuga Prabhu in Laguna Beach, California, who tells us about how whatever our experience is minus our expectation equals our satisfaction. So if we expect this world to be a happy place, then we're going to be sorely disappointed. But if we take what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, dukhalayam ashashvatam, it's temporary and it's a place of misery. You won't be flipped over every time some calamity happens, because they will happen regularly. And to think they don't is to have a false expectation, which leads to bad customer satisfaction, leads to customer dissatisfaction. Self-deception means when my circumstances change, I'll become happy. Healthy outlook, when I purify my heart, I'll become happy. This is the happiness plan. Don't try to change your circumstances. Purify your heart. Because when you have that, it doesn't matter where you are. Narayana paraksarve nukutashana bipyati swarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyana darshana. An advanced person sees heaven or hell equally because that devotee is simply engaged in Krishna's service. Here's a limited concept. The world is an opportunity for my enjoyment. Here's an unlimited concept. The world is an opportunity for service. Every circumstance is an opportunity to improve my devotion to Krishna. If you live like that, if your goal is actually Krishna and to improve your devotional service, and whatever happens to you, you take it as a circumstance to improve your devotion to Krishna, then what is there that you can't deal with? And I save one person at a time, beginning with myself. There's a way in which I have a tendency to always think that everyone else should improve themselves, but why not just improve myself? This is the one. I'm the one person that I have some control over, and if I make that my project to purify the heart, to remember Suhrit, cleanse the mirror, then my goal in life is fixed in a way that I can actually experience progress in real happiness, and that is how to become a happy human. Om Tat Sat. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So now we're going to put away all the asanas, and we'll stand up, and we're going to have a kirtan, and starting at about 5 minutes. So that gives us a few minutes to put everything away, and then we can have a Harinam Sankirtan. Thank you very much. Oh, we'd like to thank everyone who's joined us on the internet tonight for joining ISKCON of Silicon Valley for this presentation, and good fortune to everybody. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you. I got a babysitter. I convinced my son to stay with the girls. Right. To get out of the house.
Kartalis. And you can put this away. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Ting 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 ling ting ling ting ling ling. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can you turn that off? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Srimati Sudan Gopal Govinda Ram Srimati Sudan Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jai Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jai Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajakacharya Stotar Shishiman Apai Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajakacharya Stotar Shishiman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Kulti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prems Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopina Shamkund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Tham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Ki. New Jagannath Puri Ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki. Chamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki. Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande Haribo. Thank you. It's a special request tonight from Shraddha Devi Dasi that her daughter's husband's brother had a serious accident, and his name is Steve Bugalov. Then we'd like to make a special prayer tonight from all the Vaishnavas before Lord Nrsingadev to please protect him. Namaste Narasimhaya Prahladadadaine Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingo Yato Yato Yami Tato Nishingha Bahira Nishingo Ridaye Nishingo Nrishingamading Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamadhuta Shringa Dalitai Ranyakashi Putanu Bringam Keshavadrita Nadahari Rupa Jajagatisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Javakara Vallabh Tuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashi Putanubinga Keshavadhita Nadahari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Nrsingadev Tavakara Kamalavare Nakamadhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashi Putanubingam Keshavadeta Nalahare Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakamadhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashi Putanubingam Keshavadeta Nadahare Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsingadev 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 Jaya Nrsingadev Jaya Nrsingadev 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 Jaya Nrsingadev Shri Nrsingadev ki Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Shriman Mahaprabhu ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ji ki Go Premanande Haribo. Hare Krishna. Good to see everybody here tonight. There's no place I'd rather be, and together with the devotees, hearing and chanting about Krishna. It's a very important movement, the spiritual movement, that gives people an opportunity to hear about Sanatana Dharma, the non-sectarian process of worshiping God from whatever culture, whatever position one is in. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not discriminate between one person and another based on their culture or their body. He made also no discrimination between who was a fit or unfit candidate. Even in India at the time, 500 years ago, there was a bit of discrimination based on who was in the priestly caste and who wasn't and so forth. But Mahaprabhu embraced even people from the lowest positions of life. Even Muslims were part of his movement because he saw that the body and the culture and those things were not the important point, but the important point was the person's shraddha or faith, that everyone is connected to God. And whatever background you're from doesn't matter. The Srimad Bhagavatam says, Kiratu hunandra pulinda pulkasha abhirashumba yavana kasaraya yene chapapa yadapashraya shraya shrujanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so powerful
that through his devotees he can purify everybody. So from the pure Vaishnavas, we can hear the message of the Lord, we can hear the holy name, and we can take it up ourselves and actually come to the perfect position. And everybody needs that, because the material world is fraught with difficulties. Everyone is suffering one way or the other. And the human form of life is a very rare opportunity. And it can be lost. Just as it was gained after so many millions of births unexpectedly, we end up in a human form. We have no say over where we go in our next life, actually. It's decided by higher authorities. And we can lose that opportunity at any minute. So there's a bit of urgency for those who have awakened to spiritual life and realize that we have a great opportunity, and it's going by very quickly. You take to spiritual life with great vigor, and also lament for lost time. This is a natural feeling for those who are awakening to spiritual life. They don't think, oh, I'll do it sometime in the future. They think, how have I wasted so much time in this lifetime not taking it seriously? And it doesn't matter if one is in a house with a family, with a job, and all those things. There's no bar to spiritual life. There's no impediment, ultimately. If we practice in the condition that we're in now with the kind of desire and intensity that will attract Krishna, then we'll have all success. And even a little advancement on the path of devotional service can save us from the most dangerous type of fear, which is actually missing the opportunity for spiritual life. So we should feel encouraged. And this is another important point, is encouragement. Everyone needs encouragement in this world, because actually the word courage comes from the word kor, which means heart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said to to scare away. He has a roar like a lion that scares away the elephantine vices within the heart. In other words, the vices that I carry in my heart, life after life, they may seem as powerful as wild elephants, but Mahaprabhu's his roar is like that of a lion. The elephants run away when they hear the lion, and that is, the encouragement comes from the heart. When we actually feel free from the harassment of the material desires and such, we become encouraged. And we should also encourage everybody that we meet, because everyone needs encouragement. Doesn't matter who it is, up or down, people need encouragement. And it's amazing even what one encouraging word can do. One phrase uttered in appreciation of somebody's service, or because seeing how they're taking to the process of devotional service and so on, can actually affect a person for a lifetime. Just as some bitter kind of criticism or gossip or something can actually affect someone in a very harsh way, it can actually pierce the heart. So one of the symptoms of a person advancing in devotional service is that they speak for the benefit of others. So in a spiritual community like ours, it's important to give encouragement to other practitioners as much as possible. And in an environment like that, everyone will be attracted, because ultimately that's what everyone's looking for, is some encouragement against the onslaught of the material nature. So encourage everybody. We say encourage the heck out of everyone. That must be somebody calling in for some encouragement. Let's see what that is. Check and see if that's somebody who needs to encourage them, okay, when you pick up. Anybody here for the first time tonight? Welcome. Hare Krishna. Would you mind just tell everyone your name and what brought you here?
I'm Nirguna.
Nirguna. We like that name. That's beautiful. Nirguna.
I'm working for Oracle, and Shraddha Mataji is my friend.
How nice. Well, welcome. Very nice to have you here. Please accept this small gift as a token of our appreciation, Nirguna. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming.
Oh, hi everyone.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that Nirguna had been very instrumental in the book distribution happening in corporate.
Is that right?
Yes,
Tell us
yes,
more
he has
about that.
Well, actually, it started with he lives in Belmont, and we went to do book distribution in Belmont, and we started with his where he stays, the apartment complex, and he went out on book distribution with us, and so it was Mukharvind and Nirguna and I, and within a few minutes we were thrown out of his apartment, and he felt so bad for that. So he said, but somehow or the other, have to go for the Gita Jayanti book distribution. So he works as a senior director at Oracle. So he has many more connections than I have. So he would go and talk to people, talk to them about the Bhagavad Gita. And one of the things that he said was that don't let Shraddha come to you and ask you for donation. You have to go to her office and give it, because that's how it should be. Yeah, like you are going to give, like it's not like you're doing a favor to her. You are favoring yourself by going and donating.
Wow.
So I really like that line that he used. So.
Nirguna, do you realize how much we appreciate that? Let's give him a big hand. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. That's what we call spontaneous devotional service. When just out of the goodwill in your heart that you feel towards those who are practicing devotional service, and for the desire you feel the importance for others getting spiritual knowledge, you made a sacrifice, and you helped us and the whole Sankirtan movement during the big marathon, and now you're a part of the movement. So. We welcome you wholeheartedly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. First time.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kishore. I'm currently working with Nirguna, so I'm just accompanying him today. So he brought me along. So I'm actually visiting from India. So
which part of India?
I'm from Bangalore.
I see.
So I'm just here working with Nirguna for a couple of weeks. So I was in town, so he just brought me along.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming. Hare Krishna. When are you going back to Bangalore?
Another month or something.
A month.
Yeah.
I'm going there in a couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been there in a long time. Thought maybe I'd run into you there.
Yeah, hope so.
And we'd like to welcome back our very own Hari Guru. Just walked in. Come on, a little more. It's Hari Guru. Hari Guru, tell us your latest realization. And where you've been.
Any.
You're happy. You're a Sukhinara? You don't have any. Oh, I thought. Where are you coming from?
From my office.
It's like asking a teenager, how was school today? Fine. What did you do? Nothing. Were you in the Dham?
Yeah. I was in December for
In
2
December?
Weeks. Yeah.
Nice. Vrindavan?
No, Mayapur.
In Mayapur.
He also visited East India?
No, I didn't go.
No,
Flight got canceled.
Did you take a dip in the Ganga?
Tried to, but I couldn't make it. I just put a few drops on my head.
I see. Tell
I
us
got
something
scared
else.
with all the buffaloes taking a bath there.
Did you see the Panchatattva?
Yeah, they saw me.
The Panchatattva saw you?
Hopefully.
How's the construction on the new temple going?
It was going good, good pace. Rain or shine, they just keep going. And many devotees working around the world for that. So.
Did you go anywhere else in Mayapur?
No, this time I just stayed in the temple. And
you were chanting all day?
Tried to, yeah.
Nice.
Reading it. I didn't want to be a tourist there, so.
Yeah. Well, we're very happy you're back. Good to see you. Hari Guru. Hari Krishna. Yes, Damodar's got a bell in his hand, and that's always a good sign.
That's a good sign. So, there are actually few people who are meditating, contemplating about donating for tile program, which we have. And why I am having a bell is because there is one person, or an institute I'll call it, who have come forward and donated a tile. And just a small background, though it may seem repetition, what my realization was last time when we sent the mail, in a one day we got 6 tiles donation. So in case you have heard this, I ask for your forgiveness, but I'll just do it as a ritual. So each tile, the $1 million wall is constituting of 500 tiles. Each tile comes for $2,000, and you can inscribe your name or someone's, your dear ones, or a small message, 5 to 6 words preferably, with lesser number of characters. And that tile will be created by ISKCON well-known artists Dhriti Mataji and Ramdas Prabhu. And today we'd like to announce that our dear Sunday school, the kids of ISV's school, Sunday school, they are putting together with help from their parents who are going into the school. They want to dedicate one tile in the new temple. There are other devotees who are planning to donate a tile for their spiritual masters. There are a lot of ideas which are floating in, but I'll announce when we get a confirmed plan. So thank you so much, Sukeshwari Mataji.
Bravo. And we've been keeping secret the identities of the cooks from today, but we'll finally reveal in the next minute. Who are the cooks for this afternoon? Yashoda Kumar and Nitya Navina. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll be having a program in Berkeley tomorrow at the Berkeley Temple. So if anybody has a free night off and you feel like coming over, please join us over there. It'll start around 6:30 and we'll go probably until midnight or so. No, maybe till 8:30, 9 o'clock. Any other announcements? Then let's have a look at the prayers we say before Prasadam. And these prayers say that the senses are networks of path leading to death. And of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and difficult to control. But the Lord's so kind, He's sent us spiritual food, prasadam, just to help to control the tongue. So now in love, let us call out for the help of Sri Sri Nitai and Gaur and glorify Sri Sri Radha and Krishna by taking this Mahaprasadam, which has been lovingly cooked and offered to them. You don't find this anywhere. I know... it's very rare to get prasadam, actually. But people all over the world are going to restaurants to try to find something tasty for the tongue. But actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that when you eat food that's not offered first, that you're eating sin. And that you actually take on the karma. But he says, Jagnashishta Shanto. Jagnashishta, the remnants of sacrifice, actually purify one. Just by taking the remnants of food, the things offered to Krishna, eating in that way, purified eating, then one purifies one's existence and can actually go back to Godhead by that process. So this is one of the main processes that we emphasize as taking food which has been offered first to the Lord. And we also distribute it as widely as possible to give everyone a chance to take prasadam. And just by doing that, Prabhupada mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that people unknowingly become liberated by taking prasadam and can go back to Godhead. So it's very important prasadam distribution. Did you have another comment, Damodar? Okay. So we're starting at the top. Sharirat vijaja jodendriya tahika jibe pele bishaya shagare Tadama Jechit Vayati. Stacy. Loba Moetsu Durmati. Take Jeta Katita Shanshare. Krishna Bodo Doyamoy. Kori Bare Jihva Jai. Shaprashad Anna Diloba. Shayanamrita Pao. Radha Krishna Guna Gao. Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nita. Ekadina Shanti Pure. Prabhu Advaitera Gare. Dui Prabhu Bojani Bosilo. Shakori Ashwadana. Prabhu Bole Bhakta Gana. Esha Krishna Aswadilo. Heno Shakashwadane. Krishna Prema Aishe Mane. Se Preme Koro Ashwadan. Jada Buddhi Parihari. Prasada Bhojana Kori. Hari Hari Bolo Sarvajan. Hari Hari Bolo Sarvajan. Ma Prasade Govinde Nama Brahmari Vaishnave Swapapunyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Navajaya Prasade Sarvatukanam Hanirasyo Bajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Puripaya Vatishtate Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gopremanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Tai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasadam. I just want to tell you one more thing before we do, though. That is in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. We were reading over the weekend that the Vaikuntha Dutas were explaining the potency of Sankirtan and the holy name to Gopakumar. And they made a statement that really stuck with me, and that is that the holy name is more dear to Krishna than himself. And so remember when you're chanting your japa tomorrow or on the way home or whenever else, that Krishna's name is more dear to him than his own self. And Rupa Goswami says that vacham vachakam ityudeti bhavato nama rupa swarupa dvayam, that although the name and Krishna are not different, still there's a distinction, and that distinction is that the name is more merciful than even Krishna. So we have something that's so special coming down through our disciplic succession, and this is our main process for advancing into the highest level of spiritual consciousness. Just hearing and chanting the name of Krishna in the Mahamantra, and all you have to do is listen. And the kind of meditation you can do is to keep bringing your mind back wherever it runs off to, and you'll have complete success by that process. Thank you very much. Now, please come take prasadam.
Bro, I had one realization actually today. Yes. I was, just listening to pastime of Ajamil, and I was thinking maybe it's just because holy name is around that, despite like the confusion what Ajamil saw in his life was momentarily and very small, but the impacts were large. And I was thinking of a man in Kali Yuga, that kind of act is happening almost every time, every place, every circumstances, and it's just the mercy of Harinam that we are still able to chant and come to temple and be in Srila Prabhupada's service.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Go Premanande. So we're going to serve, apparently, I can see this happening. We're going to serve prasadam right in this room. So let's make a nice circle because there's plenty of room tonight. And the devotees will come around and serve prasadam. Thank you. Hare Krishna. No, thank you. Thank you.